this. There we go. All right, so basically this morning, I'm really just gonna run over a couple quick things and check in with everybody. The pace of the class, I just kind of want to talk about that. I know everybody will have questions. If you have, is the chat enabled? Are you able to chat over there? Can you type things? Okay, cool. I haven't seen anything. It just must be that, okay, cool. Just must be that everybody's tired this morning. So I think the first assignment is due, let me see here. Looks like it's due September 1st, is that right? No, September 4th. And that's the social observation. So one person has done the social observation so far. You can do the social observation pretty much anywhere. You could probably even watch a live stream of someplace and like do some people watching. You don't actually have to go somewhere to big crowds or anything like that. I think you can accomplish this. You can look outside your dorm window, sit outside wherever you live. So anyway, make sure that you do the social observation. Now, people have asked for a little bit of clarification on the discussions. So when a discussion says, and let me pull this up really quick. I can't see you, but I imagine you can still see me. And discussion first, one is the chicken people. And it says, due September 10th, first post by September 3rd. So what that means is, if I don't say that, then we'll have a discussion and everybody will post on the 10th, the last day. So at least one of your posts, like your first reaction to it, has to be a week in advance to get the full points for the discussion. Then you can respond to people all you want, and at least 2 other times, but on multiple days. Because again, if I don't say make all 3 posts on different days, then people will load those posts up. Like they'll do the first post a week ahead of time, and then both their posts, the other ones on the last day. It's just, I guess, our tendency as human beings to do that. So make sure when you see the due date, then you can reference that due date on assignments. So that's the due date is the 10th for that, but you'll have to have that first post by the 3rd. So you still have time. And really, I'm just building a whole bunch of stuff into this class early so that you don't have to worry about that. I don't have a lot of stuff due right out of the gate. The observation is easy. The discussions are pretty chill. And shake your heads yes if you saw that I put up a link for chicken people that people could access for free or whatever. Yeah, look, I don't want you to have to pay for like a video on Amazon or if you don't have Netflix, but these are movies that I would show in class that I own. And since I can't let 600 people have access to my to my like Amazon profile, which I would pretty much almost do to save you money. But somebody found it the other day for free. One of my other grad assistants, so I decided to post it, and I feel good about that. So, yeah, so that's about the discussions. The content, how fast should you move in the class? I see that people are already watching the videos, so shake your heads yes, or give me a signal if you've watched any of the lectures yet or started with the first lecture. Some no's, some yeses. All right, good. It's not necessary that you've already done that, but I see that there's a couple hundred plays almost already for that first lecture. So between my 2 classes, people are starting to check it out. Maybe you saw the TIE fighter there. Maybe you saw some of the other things that I edited in for fun for the videos. So I would say if the first assignment, and let me check again, the first content assignment, which is over the first 3 chapters, yep, is due September 11th. Okay, so, you know, read a chapter and then watch the videos, or download the PowerPoint and watch the videos so that you can make notes and then read the chapter sort of along the way. But you know that in the next couple weeks, you're gonna have to have that stuff read so that you have read and have watched the videos for all 3 chapters so that you can do the content assignment. Does that make sense to everybody? So I don't have like, I mean, I have a pace and it's all laid out, but I also don't want to be, you know, anal about that. I want us to be able to, and you, to be able to work at your pace somewhat. So some people have watched all the videos. Some people haven't read a chapter or done a video or anything. That's fine with me. I mean, this is like the 2nd day of class in the first week. And I don't need to punish everybody, you know, by being hardcore about that stuff early. But since I saw that there's only 1 social observation, you know, I think that you should go out and check that out. All right, how much writing do you expect for each question? Let's go to the first one. And if you click, let me see, is it under announcements? Let's see. All right. So yeah, what I'll do, and I've got that, is I will upload the rubric, like exactly what I expect today, right into that. Nobody's going to be doing that chapter assignment yet, but you know, I think each question is an essay question, so about a half a page of writing, and then I have like the specific like size and stuff like that that it has to be, and spacing and all of that. So, and everything is turned on online on Canvas. So I'll plug that in to the first assignment. There's still a few things that I need to add to the class, but that's the basic format of those. And they're essays. So again, when you start to write that, in-text citations, whatever citation format you're comfortable with, but have a reference to the text at least 2 or 3 times, maybe within one good detailed essay question, at least a couple times. And then also, like I said, you can add your insight into that. A lot of times I'm asking for your own personal experiences or insight because this is so I think it lends itself to that. So that's that. I'd hope that the next time I log in, I see a bunch more of those observations. Yeah, you can look towards the content, watch the first videos. Really, it's pretty chill right now. So what questions do you have for me? You can unmute your mic. I'd rather that, or you could you can type it into the side, but I like hearing your voices. Somebody said, can we reference other sources too? Absolutely, and let me talk about that. So never Wikipedia. Never, 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 ever, never, Wikipedia, ever, never, never, ever, as a source, because that's just not going to do you any favors, right? It's not a scholarly source. You don't know who added that information. Holy cow. So here's the deal. If you do it, search on the school's database. Like go to the library database. Look for peer-reviewed articles. Look for things like that are good scholar sources. At least search Google Scholar instead of like even just the first page of Google. Do you know what I'm saying? You've probably started to do that, but if you're a new student, if you've not done a lot of research before, you know, don't just scour the internet. Do something that is a place that we know is pretty solid. And I think that another question or another thing that this reminds me of is if you want us to look at your writing, Verena or Yua or myself, if you're like, I have a question about this essay, we can help you. A lot of times people don't reach out, right? But check this out, the Writing Center. Now, usually it's a bunch of lonely English majors in a basement waiting for somebody to bring them some work to edit. and maybe they're not lonely. They seem kind of lonely when I've been in there because there's not a lot of people in there. But these are people that are expert writers, right? Like they're amazing. That's what they do. So now they're probably doing like virtual writing help, I imagine. And I've got some links, I think, in the syllabus to the Writing Center. So here's the deal. If you want some help on an essay, the grad assistants are here, I'm here, but for free, you know, included in your tuition, always if you're struggling with writing a good essay or things like that, go to those folks. Cause I mean, they're amazing. And like I said, that's what they do. So you can reach out to us. I just want you to be able to have some access and know that constructing a good essay or writing this big food paper, you know, as we get later in the semester, you have that available to you. So use it. Do chapters 1, 2, and 3 assignment involve the lectures too? Yeah, yep. And really it's a good question because I want to explain the exams. Yes, I said that they were 50 multiple choice true false questions and they're each worth 2 points and that's going to go fast. That being said, what they cover is the textbook and my slides, like my lectures, and then where they intersect, right? Once in a while, I'll be asking a question, and I have not uploaded the questions for Top Hat yet, so don't stress about that, okay? But that's what it is, because there are some things in my lectures that are not out of the textbook, right? Stuff that I've added because of the experiences I've had or whatever that might be to make the lectures better. So I like the textbook. I'm not usually a big person for like dates, but I'm looking at important concepts. So I will also release a study guide closer to the exam so nobody, you know, has to stress about it. But that's kind of the idea there. I think the lectures and the textbook and then where they meet, those are the important topics and things like that I'm stressing. So, or not stressing, but, you know, emphasizing or whatever. All right, other questions. Somebody unmute, ask me a question in person. Anybody have a question? Maybe not, because it's early. I don't know.
So if you use the lectures for one of the questions, how do you cite that?
Offhand, I can't tell you like what's first, my name, the date. You know, it'll be lecture on chapter, whatever, the date, my name. Just check out someplace that has, you know, how to reference things, or reach out to one of the grad assistants. But I think online you could find the right way to do a citation for a lecture pretty quick, you know. But yeah, it involves my name, the date, or the title of the lecture and things like that. Yep. And you can do that. That's fine too, citing a lecture for sure. Okay, so top hat. And then we'll get back to other. Oh yeah, that's Huckle. Wait, nope, it's there. I don't even know what my camera catches. So I have not loaded the questions into Top Hat yet. People have been getting their subscriptions. If you have any troubles with that, please just email me, okay? And then I would, if you have real trouble with it, I'll just forward you to Jonathan. He's our Top Hat rep. I had a couple people reach out because they said that, you know, economically it was difficult for them to purchase that, but they wanted to participate. I do have a few more of those. So if you really, really do want to participate and don't have that money, and basically if it's 30 bucks, it boils down to like, I don't know, you know, $5 a month almost, or something like that, a little $6, $7 a month or something. If you can't afford that, and I do understand that, that would have been me in college, reach out. I have a few Top Hat scholarships or whatever that they've given me. So I don't, again, I want you to learn. And here's the deal. In class, I would say this. I don't say it now. Everybody breathe. We're in class. Take a breath. It's early. Yeah. You know, right? We're going right out of the gate today with some virtual meeting. You've got a lot of stuff to do in your life. Take another breath. Yeah. All right. So here's the deal. I want this class to be a stress-free place for us, okay? The whole rest of the world is going to go on, but in here, let's not stress about it. So let's, you know, take things one at a time, reach out if you need any help. If you don't have the money, reach out to me and I can help you with the Top Hat piece. If you can't make it to a class meeting, I'm recording them. So we do our best learning when we breathe. And this is science. When we breathe, we relax. When we relax, our brains are more capable of accessing the information that we have retained. So my classic example would be I'd walk into a math test and I'd be like, I wouldn't be breathing. I'd just be like stressed right away. You get into a test situation or writing a paper, anything like that, just breathe and you'll relax. I write this on the board when we're in the classroom before every exam, and then you'll be able to do well. So whatever that is in this class, I really do want you to approach it in a non-stressed out way. You can always reach out to me, but there's too many things to stress about in life. My class is not going to be one of those things. You know, that's my intent anyway. All right. Oh my gosh. All right. So do we buy the textbook from the bookstore? I know somebody else said yes, but I think the bookstore has like 3 different options to buy the book, and they're all good. So unless you've got like your special, you know, bookseller online or something like that, I would go with the bookstore. Yeah. All right. So questions, more questions. What else you got?
Will you post an agenda for these meetings so we know what we're going to discuss? If we've like set aside this time to watch lectures, should we also be attending these, or only if we have questions?
Well, very specifically is we'll start to look at the Top Hat questions. So I'll collect the data, right, that everybody has responded, and then I'll say, okay, so half of us feel like fixing the environment is possible. Half of us feel like no way. Why? And I'll tell you what, I really do want to use these class meetings because in my classes normally, when I lecture, it's like if you've seen a lecture, every few slides, there's a question. Because I want us to be going back and forth with this information and processing it. And when we do that in a discussion, we retain more of that information. So these will be sessions where we look at your answers, we discuss some topics, and then we also go over any like business that we have, upcoming assignments, papers, and then I can answer questions about those as well. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I won't be lecturing, but I will be talking about things that are the topics. So it's kind of like, it's the more fun part of the lecture would be what we actually meet for, at least, you know, the back and forth. And I think students always have really excellent questions as you're processing, like, how do I understand the conflict theory? You know, I'm not getting this part about this particular paradigm. Why is it da 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 da? And then I can be like, well, that's a great question. Let's do that. And it's hard when you got to type all that out, but when we can do it, like I said before in a discussion, I think it'll benefit everybody. All right. Other questions? So, I also don't think that these things will last a full hour and 15 minutes. Today will not for sure. When we start discussing your answers to questions and I have a few more things, I'm figuring like an hour, so it's something manageable. But again, if you can't make it, I'm recording this. So again, no hassle. Looks like we're all morning people here.
I have a
All right.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How often will you be posting topics to Top Hat? How often should we be going on there to check?
Yep, I'll release an announcement about that.
Okay.
I still am looking at all my classes and just trying to dial in a schedule. My guess is that I'll open the questions at 8 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I'll leave them open to like midday, so that you can wake up, attend this lecture or discussion, go to Top Hat, answer those questions, and you're done, right? And I'm not releasing them on odd days that we don't have class. And I think that's what's going to keep it best. But I was trying to look at my other classes and figure out for me, so that I can make sure that also I'm on top of that, what would be the best schedule for that too. So I'm thinking that I'll open them up, and I'm going to set them for a few weeks in advance, probably.
Okay.
So if once I open that question up, you could go in and answer the questions like for a couple weeks, probably. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it cuts down on the amount of time that you would have to log in or come back, because you're coming back for discussions and you're coming back for other classes, and I get that, So yeah, other questions?
I have a question.
Oh,
Yep.
You go.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering, since she was talking about the Top Hat, like, would we have to log into Top Hat to see that you posted like questions that we have to answer? Or would you say like, oh, would you post on Canvas like there's something you have to do on Top Hat, or would you say it like you're like saying it in the lecture right now?
Right. Okay. So good question. I'll release an announcement with exactly that schedule. So I think what I'm going to do is just say I'm opening up the questions on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. Whatever. They'll be open for like 8 hours, 7 hours.
Okay.
And then once I set those, so this is what I don't know, and I'm fine with that too, is once I set those questions, okay, and it may give you a notification, or you may have to log in, and then you should be able to see all the questions that are active. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So that you're not wondering right now. Top Hat is secondary to me to getting everything else kind of sorted out with how busy everybody's been and I've been. But that thing is what I'll be working on today, so that you'll be able to log in, see questions, and you could even, because you could do it anytime, the due date will just be later. So I'll probably post those today so that people can check them out.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Other questions?
But yeah. When it comes to writing about the social observation, do you have any tips on how to stay how to not write with like stereotyping?
Well, I mean, you're new to this sociology gig, right? So our observations aren't going to be super technical for this first thing. It's just like people watching, and to a certain degree, you might look back at the end of the semester and be like, oh, that was kind of stereotypical, or I wasn't thinking of things from this perspective, this sociological perspective. But once we start to learn these things, they're going to get in your head, and then you're going to start to see those interactions a bit differently. So when you write about them at the end, you'll see that growth. But I think for right now, I don't want super technical sociological writing. Observe some humans interacting and what they do, and kind of what their body movement means to you, or what you think is going on. Because, as sociologists, you don't know everything all the time. You're also making some guesses and some observations as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. And then, I mean, like I said, the more equipped we are with sociology, the more that'll get less stereotypical, the more that'll be more rooted in a foundation of, because that's why Soc is cool. Like, if you've seen my first lecture, my thing, I love Star Wars, but my thing is like, Soc is a way to make you a Jedi, because you start to understand where other people are coming from and why they're coming from that perspective. And then you understand how you can manipulate that with the information that you have about that. And so I think that it helps you interact in your world a lot more effectively. And that's one of the reasons that I love Soc. It's like instantly applicable to almost everything you do. Once you start to learn this stuff, you're like, oh, wow. anyway, I think that that's going to be really cool. So what can we expect from chicken people? You can't expect anything from chicken people. You won't be believing your eyes. No, it is really an awesome piece of sociology. And I'm a farmer, and I have 100 chickens, and I'm not a chicken people. So that should tell you right there that there's a whole lot more going on with that documentary. It's mind-blowing. I absolutely love it. So I'm not going to spoil it. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to spoil it. My kid, though, my 15-year-old, that guy is a spoiler. He's like a walking spoiler. He has seen every background video breaking down everything from 20 different angles. And then he'll be like talking to me like he came up with that stuff, like he didn't watch a video, like breaking it down. And I'm like, you know what, dude? You sound like you got some inside information. All right. Do you need the fourth? Yeah, you need the 4th edition. It's not new, but it is newer, and it has good stuff in comparison to the edition before. Like I said, I actually like Sage. I like this textbook. I really do. And I like the publisher, and they work with me to work with you to get the books a lot cheaper, you know? So any other questions? Go ahead. Somebody can ask if they want.
I had a question.
Yes.
So for the discussions, is there like on the Canvas, is there a specific format you want to like us to write them in, or is it just basically what we're thinking about the topic or something?
Well, I usually say in the discussion, you know, chicken people, I kind of like, here it is, go, right? I just want your reaction to that. But I will ask in further discussions and later discussions, you know, make sure you're connecting it to social material. Like if you've learned something, and by the time you get to that next discussion that you think applies, apply it, you know? But yeah, that isn't a certain font because it's just online, right? The response, that's already automated. And it's, you know, a detailed response. If somebody types like a couple sentences, and that's not going to be enough, you know? So just a thoughtful reaction to it. You know, that's a few paragraphs. But yeah, yep, that's what that is. You can connect it to stuff that you've learned, but those discussions are a bit more informal. We have formal exams. We have formal content writing assignments. We have a big formal paper. This is so that we can use Soc a bit while we're also watching some stuff that's really great. Because when we watch this, all of a sudden we're going to know subculture, counterculture. All of a sudden we're going to be thinking about that. When we watch Jiro Dreams of Sushi, we're going to be thinking about, wow, the cultural differences between Japan or Australia and the United States are different or the same in this way or that way. And then, so we're going to take Soc, and we're not just looking at this culture, right, and what's going on with the United States, because obviously there's lots, and we're all thinking about that, but what sociologically is about, and in my first lecture, we're you know, we're a global culture. We are connected, you know, and not in a way that's like, hey, bro, we're connected. Everybody's interconnected, yeah, you know, but more in a way that's like, the reality is we breathe the air from Greeley in Fort Collins, from the CAFO, from the slaughterhouses. We share that water. If something happens with the Fukushima reactor and it's spewing radiation into the ocean, we share that as it circulates the globe. If something happens on the other side of the planet, like really big, how long does it take for us to hear about it? Legit question. What do you think? How long?
Like a second?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like people before were like, years ago were like, a day. And then years, like a few years, then a minute. And yeah, like instantly. If somebody's got their phone on them, you've not only seen that event, but you've heard about it all within the first minute of it happening. So yeah.
Well, I mean, like look at Beirut.
Yeah, right. I mean, anything nowadays, everything, you know, what's going on in Kenosha, what's going on just everywhere. We're interconnected. And so we're going to look at sociology in a global context as well, because we're going to look at other cultures and not just our own this semester. So, all right. Any other questions? I'm happy to answer anything that you have about the class. I want everybody to feel good about what we're doing so far and like, you know, capable and ready to roll.
I have a question. It's not necessarily related to, I guess it's kind of related to the class, but it's
Sure.
more my own question. How do sociologists make non-anecdotal data, right? Because it's like if anecdotal data is simply just stories, and sociology is mostly just a study of how people interact with each other, given from firsthand or secondhand accounts of people writing stories about other people. How is any data in sociology not anecdotal?
Well, that's the difference between quantitative and qualitative data. You know, like
Yeah.
qualitative data, I mean, you're really asking for people's descriptions of their life and their surroundings, but quantitative data is just hard measurements, right? This many people of this race experience this versus this, you know, so there are lots of ways that social and behavioral sciences collect hard, I don't want to say hard data, but collect quantitative data, scientific numbers. And then you look at something like that and you say, okay, let's look at this because this is topical and it's meaningful whenever. Right now, and I think this is from 3 or 4 years ago, it would be, and I was just reading this book the other day, so I could provide the link to the book or whatever. But Black men are 21 times more likely to be shot and killed by the police than their white counterparts. So that is a very quantitative piece of information. You've collected data, you've looked at police statistics, you've done that. Now, where you go from there is you talk to people and you say, how did this impact your family? How do you feel about that? You look at minority culture and you talk to people in dominant culture and you say, what if that was you? And for dominant culture, it was only 2 to 1. Would the reaction and responses be different? Why? Who has power in our society? If that was the case, would things get done faster? Would people make sure that policing changes? Like if it was people in dominant culture, why is that? And then we start to ask those questions. Or if you have children and you're a person of color, what's it like for you to have your kids leave the house every day? That's qualitative question, but boy, that can really answer something deep and interesting that tells a story, while at the same time looking at data that says, yeah, you can't deny that this is going on because we've also backed it up with science and hard numbers. Does that make sense? Cool.
It does.
Good. Yeah. So we'll be looking at, I mean, and so a lot of data collection is done, you know, with surveys and like I said, in controlled environments and stuff like that. I, however, want to back it up with that and then hear the story of why that matters to somebody in their life. Because then you can really do something and work with that when you've got qualitative and quantitative data. And since we're in a time, I think, you know, and it goes like this throughout history, but if we're thinking of science right now is a bit embattled and people can look at things that are reality and scientific reality and say that's not true and then move on. But it always helps to back up what you want to say and the message you want to get across with your heart and qualitatively with that data, because it makes a difference and it gives a lot of legitimacy. Now, has anybody take statistics in here? Has anybody done that yet? No? Yeah?
I have.
Did you have Ben? Because Ben is he's a younger guy, he's like in his 40s, he's a musician, but he is like the most amazing guy in the world on stats. So I digress here, right? On Facebook, whenever somebody just throws the random like meme out or stat out, he jumps on top of that and breaks it down, and it's awesome. And like, so we've got to look at these social things that happen in our lives, but we've got to be able to be solid with our science so that, you know, people can represent it, so that we can change that, so that women can be paid, or people identify as a gender female can be paid equally to men. All of these things, like, they don't change really without a combination of qualitative and quantitative approaches, I think, you know. And it's good when you're young and passionate to be able to back that up with solid information too, you know. All right, other questions? Anything else? Anybody? All right, cool. I feel like everybody has a good idea of what I expect. Again, and be legit with this. If you have a legitimate need for the $30 for the top hat and you want to participate, send me an email, okay? If you think you can swing it on your own, that's cool too. And remember, it's not mandatory, but I think at the end of the semester, you've been participating, we've all had more fun, and you've got 3 or 4 or 5 percentage points that can lock down your grade into the place where you want it. And I really think that we know that a grade is all about learning, and we want to be like, right, like, oh, why do you go to school? But we know we need a degree. We know it costs money, and we know grades matter. So if you want to manifest that grade, I'm here to help. The GTAs are here to help, and that should be possible for you this semester, and that's one of those ways. So, raise your hand. Tell me if you checked out the food link. Did anybody check out the food drive yet and click on the link? Yes, no, show me. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. Check the discussions. The extra credit thing is there. Every class that I'm teaching has a team, okay? So that you're the 100-003 team. You can share that link with your friends and family if they want to make a donation, and then that gets us up higher. I am willing, and I usually don't do this till the end of the semester, but I'll say this now because we need more food than ever. I am willing. I think my goal is going to be like $5,000 between our classes. I think we're going to hit that. But the more we get this semester, I'm willing to go above 25 extra credit points if we can really do a fantastic job feeding people in our community. So let's just say that that's open-ended, and you should definitely go check that out. It's on the discussion board. Larimer County usually has plenty of donations. They have had to totally change the way they do their entire thing. If you don't think it's a big deal, just go there in January, because when I dropped off donations, I guess it was in last December, last time we were able to do so. And there's a 10 to 13-year-old kid sleeping on the sidewalk. His parents are sitting on the bench. There's a line outside the building and around, and it's like 2 degrees out, or 10 degrees out, or whatever it is. And so food insecurity is real, and people in our community need this help. And so I think that this enables us to be able to do something very positive and safe. And now the Larimer County Food Bank needs food and donations more and more than ever. And for $1, that's 2 meals. For $5, that's 10 meals. Last semester we got $5,000 or $6,000. That's like 12,000 meals. I mean, that's the real deal. That's what kind of an impact you can make with collective action with people that you are involved with. That is positive for the whole world. So since we don't like group projects, generally speaking, in college, because somebody does all the work or whatever that might be, we're in it together on this one. And I like us to be a team like that. I'm cheesy like that, but I think that's the right thing. Yua, Verena, anything to add? I do like, my twin brother and I have been doing a 2-year social experiment. They see how social lives with twins who grew up together differ socially. That's cool. Yep. Those studies are always really interesting. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Any last questions? Cool. Well, thank you for joining
I had one
me.
more question.
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay, so for the top hat thing, do you think it would work if we got the shorter term one that's cheaper?
I would only get the $30 one because that's the 4-month subscription, right? I mean, unless you're going to be using Top Hat for a year and next semester that somebody else is going to have a Top Hat class, I would not. Yeah, I would just whatever the basic semester rate is, which I think is $30. I would just do that. And like one last time, like I said, if anybody, and don't feel like, oh, if I reach out, Jason's going to think less of me. Absolutely not. If you can't afford this, let me help you out. That's what I'm doing this gig for, teaching. It's to help people. It's not to be cool and super knowledgeable and lord that over everybody. So awesome. All right. Yesterday was National Dog Day, was it? Is that what I saw? I don't know. Every day's got another national something. I did feed my dogs more dog treats than usual yesterday because I was trying to comply with the good social expectations and all of that. Please, just dive in, ask Verena or Yua or myself something if you need it, and be good people and do good things, everybody. Gonna go get second round of coffee. Take care. See you later.